Good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear? Good evening. Hi. Welcome. So, I'm going to read you some of the housekeeping before we start. So, there are no fire alarms scheduled for this evening. If the fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the building immediately. The fire exit is located at the rear of the room, so go down the stairs, and unless otherwise instructed, meet in the War Memorial Car Park. Does everyone know what that is? Okay, good. Webcast of meetings. So this meeting is being webcast live on the internet. Please switch off your mobile phones or turn them to silent. And can I remind you that you will need to in order to be heard clearly within the room by those present and on the webcast, you must speak directly into your microphone. Is everybody happy with the microphones? Okay. So, right. Welcome. Members of the committee, so all of you are here today. We've just got one person who hasn't arrived that we expected today, which is Amanda. We have some apologies. So we've had from Linda Agnew, Ian Elkins, Martin Slatford have all sent their apologies for this meeting. Are there any other absences other than Amanda Orchard? No? No. Okay. So our first point for today is to ask for nominations for Vice Chair. Do we have anyone? Yes.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Slimin.
Happy to second.
Is there anyone else that would like to be nominated? Okay. Are we happy to pass that through? Yeah? That's agreed. Thank you very much. Well, that was easy, wasn't it?
Do you want to invite her up?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we invite her to be where? Oh, you need to come and take your chair up here, Councillor Slimin.
If she wants to.
If you'd like to. You're happy where you are? That's fair enough.
The next region of it.
Covers it at the top. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, we are now going to find out if we have any declarations of interest. None noted? None noted. Moving on to urgent matters. Are there any urgent matters? No urgent matters. Okay. So then we'll look at the minutes for the meeting that was held on the 17th of March. Are the committee happy that the minutes of the meeting held are accurate record of the meeting? Is that agreed? Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to move over to Fiona, and she's going to look at the complaints report.
Thank you, Chair. I've produced the usual complaints update. There's just a couple of updates to that since I wrote the report. The first complaint in the appendix has now been concluded, so that's complaint number 056883. There was a full investigation into this matter, but it determined that there was no breach of the Code of Conduct. I should say, however, that there are some strong recommendations coming out to the council concerned that there needs to be some support commissioned by the parish council to address some governance, culture and organisational issues, so some behaviours which need addressing. So although there's no breach of the code, there are some strong recommendations that need to be followed through. The other update is that a further complaint has been received since I wrote the last report. So we received a complaint on the 29th of August. It's against a borough councillor, and it's currently going through the initial stages of assessment. So as far as the numbers are concerned, we now have 9 we've received this year, and there are, I think, still 9, sorry, there's 4 concluded, so we're still working, there's 5 outstanding which need to be followed through. So it's quite a busy year again so far. I put the table in paragraph 4 to show what the position is at the moment. But I'll keep you up to date. It's fairly busy. I don't think there's anything else to add to that.
Committee, do you have any questions?
Oh,
Okay, so who wants to go first? Councillor McCormick?
Thank you, Chair. On page 14, there's an investigation. Now, I appreciate the nature, you'll be limited to say on these things. There's a complaint there about a councillor, and I don't particularly want to know who it is, failure to treat a member of the public with respect by failing to respond to communications. So I was just wondering if we could have some guidance on that, because a general rule, you might expect somebody to respond within a couple of working days, but they might be on holiday for a couple of weeks. So it would be useful to have an indication of whether it was like something like an email that hadn't been responded to for months and months and months, whether they were just refusing to answer the phone, and would there be any circumstances like if somebody's like haranguing a councillor by ringing them like 5 or 6 times an evening or something, can you just like not answer the phone? Because while I'm conscious that most of the time we would be expected to respond to communications, there may be some genuine cases where we shouldn't.
yeah, it obviously depends on the facts of the situation. Obviously, I can't go into the detail. I mean, I understand this was correspondence which had been outstanding for some time. I think it was just a matter of not being organised to respond rather than anything, not trying to avoid it. It just got lost, I think, in probably the number of emails everybody received. So it was yeah. But if there are other issues concerned in terms of harassment or some sort of issues there, that needs to be dealt with differently, and it probably wouldn't be done in this scenario. So it's very fact dependent. The allegation is that the councillor's not treated somebody with respect because they haven't acknowledged or gone back to them. So that's the allegation. It has been found in certain other places, but I can't remember where I've got onto with this one. Which was this one, the second, third? You know, which one is it on this one?
58122.
Oh yes, so it's finished, hasn't it? So it's now been dealt with in terms of there's communication going backwards and forwards now. So it's just unblocking a little barrier.
Councillor Slimin?
Thank you. It was a similar question that I was going to ask, because I know in the past, in the middle of an election period, a resident contacted me, and I hadn't answered in 2 days because I wasn't at home. I was knocking on many thousands of doors, and they eventually complained to my leader, who explained to them that I was a little bit busy and it wasn't an urgent matter and could it wait, and I responded immediately after the election. So it is quite concerning that, you know, we do sometimes have other reasons that we can't respond in a hurry, and I know sometimes that's annoying, but certainly if it's not urgent. And the other thing was being a bit pedantic, I've got to see the number, sorry, 058426. It says that the date was the 26th of the 26th, 25. I thought you might like to amend it. I presume it's June. So it should, the second 2 should be whatever. And the other question is, you said that many of them were from the same parish. I wonder if these were a council that had had training from us, and whether there were lots of new councillors who perhaps hadn't had the training, or whether there was a trend, and not necessarily for the councils. I know you're not going to tell us which one it is, but I'm a bit concerned that a particular council, parish council, has got that number of issues. There's obviously quite a lot happening, and you mentioned that maybe they need to be reminded about certain things, but I'm wondering whether they'd actually got our training that we issued. And I have to remember that we did the training last year, And some of the parishes actually had new people all the time. So obviously we have to keep on top of this. There might be newer people there that may not know what the rules are. I'd just be interested in comments.
Thank you. I did check back on attendance to the sessions that myself and Anne Greaves did for a couple of years, and there was some attendance by some of the councillors there. It's fairly it's a cohort that have been there quite a while. I think there might be one new one recently, and Anne and I will be providing some more training in the later on in the autumn to the parishes. There's local issues which are fairly ingrained, I would say, and there's relationship difficulties within the council. So it needs airing and it needs working through, and there needs to be some change in the culture, I think.
Thank you, Fiona. I understand that. I've been in a council that had similar issues many moons ago, and it's not a very good system to have. So as long as you're aware of it and obviously you're dealing with it, I think that's fine. Hopefully that numbers will now drop off.
Were there any other comments? Yes, Francesca.
Thank you. And I know we did discuss this, but I can't remember what the answer was. But from the parish councillor's perspective, it would be really useful to get some kind of case studies that we can use to illustrate to parish councillors what is acceptable, what isn't, and from the lists of complaints, what were upheld and why, and what weren't upheld and why, because it kind of puts people's individual performance, shall we say, into perspective if they can see what is and what isn't acceptable.
So we haven't had any findings of breach of code of conduct for several years, more than 5 years I think it is. So it'd be sometimes things are resolved more informally, which is where we try and go for those where it's not really in the public interest to spend a lot of money on a formal investigation. But I can certainly pull together some learning and some illustrations for you. I can do that.
Anybody else? No? So a general sort of summary there is more information will be sent to the parishes so that they understand what's acceptable for maybe replying to people, maybe put in some more information with regards to when they're not available, possibly. Maybe some guidelines. Okay. So, does the committee agree to note the progress made on complaints received and the learning derived from the consideration of the complaints? Agreed. Thank you. Okay, so the recruitment of the independent assessors. Fiona, would you be able to introduce this report, please? Thank you.
Thank you. So firstly, a big thank you to Councillors Mummolaineny, Councillor Slimin and Francesca, Councillor Meriton Hawkins for the lot of time you've put into interviewing a large number of applicants. We were very fortunate to have a high calibre group of candidates on this occasion, and I think we ended up interviewing about nine of them. So I'm sure it wasn't that easy a decision because there was a good quality of standard, but the recommendation of the interview panel is to appoint Karen McManus as an independent standards assessor and Natasha Jindal as an independent person. We have to go to council to get their appointments approved in October, so their terms wouldn't actually start until the 1st of November. So it's really just a note to this committee because the recommendation goes direct to council. I'd also invite the committee to thank Alan Harrison, who's been an independent person for 4 years, and Amanda Orchard as ISA. Their 4-year terms now come to an end at the end of October, so I'll just invite the committee to thank them for their commitment and contributions to the complaints process.
Committee, are there any questions? Any other comments? So does the committee agree to note the recommendation of the interview panel to council for the appointment of Karen McManus as independent standards assessor and Natasha Jendal as an independent person to commence their initial 2-year term on the 1st of November 2025? Thank you. We also want to express the committee's thanks and gratitude to Alan Harrison, independent person, and Amanda Orchard, independent standards assessor, for their contributions to the standards process.
Agreed.
Perfect. Thank you. Right. So Fiona will now advise the suggested items for the work programme for the members to agree.
Sorry, I forgot to turn the thing off again, didn't I? So I've listed, so the next meeting's in March next year, not 25. Councillor Slimming, I've just noticed it. So the usual draft annual report will be presented to that committee, and Amanda, the chair, and Sylvia's terms expires shortly next year, so we will have to do a recommendation to extend terms of office there. I did think it's 2022 we approved the current code of conduct and social media guidance. The arrangements were looked at a bit later than that, but we haven't done any review for a couple of years, so I think it is probably time to give them a review, and certainly there probably will be some suggestions to look at the complaints process where we can improve that. The only caveat to all that, I would say, is that most of you will be aware that the government did a consultation on strengthening the standards regime, and we're still waiting for the outcome of that. So that might change. We might be told what code of conduct we're going to have. It might be told how we're going to deal with them. But if that doesn't happen between now and March, I would propose we do a review of those, the code and the procedures that go with it at that meeting. So obviously we usually have the complaints update and any other sort of, if there's any other updates to things as well, but unless there's any suggestions by members of this committee to include on that programme.
Do any of you have any comments or suggested additions for the work programme?
I think if the government may or may not, as we know at the moment, they've got probably a lot of other things on their plates to try and sort out. But obviously, if it does come forward, it'd be interesting to have that at March, I agree. And I suppose my other concern is if the level of complaints continues to rise, as it has done, maybe we ought to be considering whether there's any trends. Hopefully by next March they might have slowed down a bit.
Could I just come? Yes. Well, except we'll then be coming into election period, quite a big election period, so that always ends up in an increase in complaints. What I would say is that if the government do announce any changes, then I'll circulate it outside of this meeting, and we had quite a successful workshop last time to look at it, so I would suggest, subject to what the chair might say, that might be a way of looking at that in advance of waiting till March.
At the moment, we don't know what elections might be next May, apart from the mayor election that's likely to happen. But of course, borough council elections might not happen. There might not be a county council election or not. It's all a bit up in the air. So the 16th of March, I think, is early enough that we would actually be in, no, it'd be April, wouldn't it? We'd be into what we now call pre-election period. So I think we could be still safe to have the meeting at that time.
Okay, so it's really hard to summarise that because we don't know what's going to happen, but we would like to have another workshop to try and put forward more ideas when these details are finalised. Is everybody happy with that? Perfect, thank you. Okay, so was there any other business? Okay.
Close the meeting.
So we'll close the meeting. Thank you.
Could I ask a question? Do we know why we've got very few parish councillors attending? Because I know Fran is here, and I think last time, I don't know whether you were the only one that came last time. Oh, Linda came, wasn't she, last time? Yes. It just seems that we seem to be having quite a few meetings advertised and it's conflicting with them. Maybe there's some issue with the day or something.
There is some illness amongst the parish councillors at the moment, so I can't say any more here, obviously, because we're still being broadcast, but there are genuine reasons.